We are live. We are live. Welcome to college football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. The last couple days, we've covered the top 10 returning wide receivers that are coming in. We talked about the top impactful transfers that are coming in the Pac-12 conference for the 2023 season. But of course, we are following the big story. The Pac-12 saga. Can the Big 12 poach a Pac-12 school? If they do, what happens next? The Dominoes. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner. I'm your host, Greg Pflugar. We are the rebel outpost of all college football YouTube channels. Thanks for coming into the house. It sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. You know how this works. You know how this works. So much cloak and dagger. College football's Peek Around the Corner presents Cloak and Dagger. Be careful. Be careful. We're sitting on 8:36 p.m. Central Time. Drink responsibly. Okay. We've been getting a lot of questions, a lot of comments. Greg, why are you so obsessed with the Colorado Board of Regents meetings? We don't know what's going on in those meetings. Special session behind closed doors, open session. And it's all procedural anyways. The decision's going to be made before the Board of Regents happen. We know that. We know that. But you have to spot the trends. And if they line up with the intel, if you connect the dots, then, ladies and gentlemen, we have a story. We believe we have a story. We believe we have a story. Now, why are we popping up tonight? Why are we popping up tonight? Because a special board meeting. Man, I already see a lot of great comments in the comment section. I will get to as soon as I can. Ryan Brooks is the first here. Tough Tony, John Bennett, Kaufman, thanks for coming in. Bruce Harris, Boomer, Kirk Bender, West Virginia guy, Luis Carlos Diaz, San Diego State Conundrum, Jeff Olson, the evil Badger, hot bubble of action. It happened May 7th. The story's going to come out. We're going to be talking about it in full detail. It did happen. We tracked it, and that was a shot to the solar plexus of the Pac-12, and I think we're seeing the results of what is about to happen. Laura Weiss, nice for you to come in. BR7026, David Hackett, Cloak and Dagger. Mona Vision, Mr. Buckeyes in the house. Larry Pilgrim, I heard Washington State has the same verbiage for their meeting as well. Any knowledge of that, Greg? I did see a little bit of that. But as you know, Larry, and everybody else knows, we are singularly focused on Colorado here at Peek Around the Corner because we think that is the tip of the spear. We think that's the first domino. We've been focused on it for weeks. They've been at the center of the stage for weeks in the PAC Theater. And there's a lot of reasons for it. And nobody's making this up. This is not a part of some conspiracy. This is true intel that we've been following for weeks. May 7th, May 24th, May 31st. Today was a big day. We believe at Peek Around the Corner, we have reasons to believe more than one from one. We have reasons to believe that today's meeting, June 6th, was about possible realignment for the University of Colorado. Now, what salt of the earth, Mike Smith, Stephen McKinley, Obisidiana, Daniel Montecastle, Blake, thanks for all coming in. Chad Davis, so many more people coming in. Kreitzer, thank you so much. Curtis Brown, thanks for coming in. Why are we here tonight again? Well, let's take a look, if I can find what I'm looking for. Again, we're going to take a step back. June 8th, 2010. I know we already went through this, but you can see the trend. You can see what happened in the past. It's happening exactly like it's happening now. Tuesday, June 8th, Board of Regents, special meeting of the board. The second paragraph, the language is executive session to receive legal advice regarding a specific matter is permitted under Colorado statute subsection 24-6402. Legal advice regarding a specific matter. Okay, that was June 8, 2010, 2 days before it was announced that Colorado would be joining the Pac-12 conference. This is the announcement on June 10th. Colorado leaves the Big 12 for the Pac-10. What happened 3 days after this June 8th meeting? What happened 3 days after this June 8th meeting? Can anybody let me know in the comments section? What happened on June 11th, 2010? The Friday after this Tuesday. Somebody in the comments section. What happened on June 11th, 2010? Does anybody have it in the comments section? A public meeting. They had another meeting. Dylan Burns, Kaufman, you are correct. Friday, June 11th, 2010, there was a meeting. There were people in the Pac-12 that went to this meeting. Representatives went from Tuesday to a Friday. Okay, so let's take a look. Tuesday, today, June 6, 2023, special board meeting. Action item, legal advice on a specific matter, athletics matter, at Colorado Boulder. Tuesday. So what happened this evening? What happened this evening? Special board meeting, 8 o'clock, 8:30. We understand it's a public meeting. No agenda has been released yet. A 30-minute public meeting. What are they going to do in 30 minutes in a public meeting? Is that enough time to vote? Thank you, Jim Bagley, for your super chat. Has your point spread changed? Yes, it has. We're going to put it down to 4.5 because we're going to be consistent in what we said. 5.5 point favorite. It was an 8.5 point favorite when the hot bubble of action happened. When the Pac-12 got hit in the solar plexus, and the Pac-12 did not know what happened. Most people did not know what happened. I have not been able to give you the details on what happened on May 7th in a city in the Midwest. We will give you that details. When this all becomes official, we will tell you what happened May 7th. We will tell you what happened on May 24th in Boulder, Colorado. We will tell you what happened on May 31st in a state west of Colorado. Right now, we cannot tell the story. We have to protect it. We can't be a part of it. We've been tracking it. That's why we've been telling you for weeks, Colorado is in the center stage. There's also information about UConn. We were way out ahead. Peeking around the corner, weeks ago, we said that UConn, that was legit. It was legit in Gonzaga. They left the parking lot. They drove away. They've come back in the front foyer. You're seeing the articles coming out now, confirming what we've been telling you for weeks at Peek Around the Corner. It doesn't mean UConn's going to be a Big 12 member. We do not know. We got to see how the dominoes fall. But the interest is legit, and UConn would come in as a full member, like we've been saying. Okay? If you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. It's the only way you'll get notified because we can pop up at any time to drop it just a little bit of intel or give you the breaking news. So make sure you subscribe to our channel. Smash that like button if you like our content. If you want your comments to be posted, because there's tons of people in the comment section already, put a $sign and we'll get to your comments as soon as possible, just like we did with Mr. Bagley. Has your point spread changed? Yes, it has. We're going from -5.5 to -4.5, but I don't think it's going to matter. But we're going to be consistent. We're going to be consistent. The further we go out from the hot bubble of action and there's been no poaching from the Big 12, we're going to lower the point spread. But again, we don't think it's going to make a difference. Since February 24th here at Peek Around the Corner, the odds we've had favored of the Pac-12 getting poached by the Big 12. People thought we were nuts. That's fine. Maybe I am nuts. But you got to understand, the Pac-12, as we've learned today, again, Pac-12 is nowhere close to a new media deal. That is weighing heavy on the heads of Colorado, Arizona, and possibly a couple other Pac-12 schools. Okay? Thank you, Jim Bagley, for your super chat. Now, we don't know. You can take this however you want it. We know that the meeting today was about realignment. That hasn't been reported, I don't believe. You can say, Greg, you're wrong. How can you know this, Greg? I'm fine with that. You can disagree with us. You can call me up and say, Greg, I think you're wrong. That's fine. We have it on pretty good. We believe. And if we end up being wrong, we'll come on here and take the L. We'll take the L, but we believe this meeting was about realignment today. And so on Friday, in a public meeting 3 days afterwards, just like in 2010, this could be it. Now remember, if this is all what we think it is, or most of us think it is, It was announced that Colorado was going to the Pac-12 in 2010, the day before that public meeting on June 11th. So we could be having an announcement tomorrow. We could be having an announcement on Thursday before we get to that Friday meeting. So consider that. Keep your head on a swivel. In fact, keep your head on a swivel during this live show. It could be breaking news. Some reporters could be getting in on this. Some might report that this meeting today was about realignment. Monovision, Cloak and Dagger has given away the dagger. We at Peek Around the Corner, we believe that we successfully gave you the good information when it came to the cloaking that was going on between Colorado and the Big 12. We think we did a good job of that. I think history is going to be kind to us. We did make an error. And we did make an error on that May 7th event. Going into the hot bubble of action, we were talking about Peek Around the Corner, the theater. We talked about certain people on that stage. We said the president of Colorado was on that stage. If you go back to our live show, thank you, Monovision, for your super chat donation. I appreciate your friendship, your great calls, Peek Around the Corner community. I thank you to your contributions to the show. You made the clip of Cloak and Dagger clip that we show at the beginning of each show. Thank you, Monovision, so very much. We said that the Colorado president was on the stage and not the Colorado chancellor. We were wrong. We said that in a live show, I don't know, April 28th, May 1st, May 2nd. I know what I said. It was incorrect. So even though we knew we were tracking certain events, we still gave at least one information that was incorrect. So we're going to take the L on that. But we think in regards to Monovision's comment, Cloak and Dagger is giving away the dagger. The cloaking we got. The dagger, that's the difficult part. I think we're seeing a trend here. I think we're about to see the dagger. Chris Kohler, thank you so much for your $10 super chat. I appreciate your generosity to the show. Thank you for coming into the PATC community. I appreciate you all coming in on short notice here at Peek Around the Corner. That's what we do here. We don't know when we're going to come up. We don't know when we're going to pop up. I want to thank my wife, the little general, Mireya Hernandez Garcia, Flugar, the moderator who rules with an iron fist, for letting me come up on here live tonight when this broke. Thank you so much, Mireya, for your support. If it wasn't for your support, this show would not be happening. This YouTube channel would not be happening. Thank you to my sister, Pat, who's filling in on taking care of my parents as we do this live show. Again, if it wasn't for my family and friends, none of this would be possible. If it wasn't for the PATC community, none of this would be possible. None of it. The weakness of the show is the host. Everything else is running just beautifully. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. Interesting. Bob Thompson says that the Washington State meeting looks like a pre-approval to sign a grant of rights. Very interesting. You got to listen to Bob Thompson. You have to listen to Bob Thompson. I just read a little bit about what the meeting was, but then there was other breaking news we had to get to. Jason W., thank you so much for your super chat. Stop saying dagger. Drinking every time. Okay. I will. Sorry about that. Well, don't drink alcohol. Just take a sip of. Look. I got zero sugar, sun-kissed orange. Gonna pop it up right now. And so, it's all good. Kirkpatrick is drinking iced tea. Thank you, Connecticut fan, for dropping on in to peek around the corner. We're getting new people into this channel all the time. Before we get to the rest of your comments, we have to set up Act 12. Another star in the little general's collar. Oh, she's already a 5-star. No doubt about it. Happy wife, happy life. Absolutely. Stephen McNeely, if Washington State joined the Big 12, all Cougars would be in the same conference. I guess I'm going to have to take a look at that Washington State information. Damon Leishman, give us a good chuckle. Pac-10, fanboys, Wilner, Kazano, now saying San Diego State is an improvement from losing Colorado. I have not been, no offense to Wilner and Canzano, but I haven't been really focusing on what they've been saying. We've done a lot of public episodes illustrating their articles. Wilner's given us some good information. But we have been so focused on Colorado because we believe we've been tracking pretty much all the movements. And this is why we've been reporting to you what we reported to you all these weeks. Colorado being the center of the stage. There's new people that come in to our... Thank you, Damon, so much for your generosity, for your super chat. I appreciate you so very much. New people coming in the channel all the time. Yeah, look, I'm not going to... San Diego State, the Pac... Look, if the Pac-10 holds together, they have to get San Diego State. They have to get Southern California. The problem is there's a serious problem in losing Colorado. It's not just about losing Colorado. The threat of other dominoes falling grows just in a massive way. If Colorado does take the jump, as we think they will, and we have been for weeks, or they've been doing everything they have. Well, once we get into the story, you'll find out that Colorado has been analyzing this, taking all measures, talking to their donors, small and large. All these events have been going on, and some reporters, and heard in the last week, have picked up on it. You've read their articles on it. And losing Colorado is a huge threat to the Pac-10, Pac-12, whatever you want to call it. Because it's Colorado making the move first. That's the most difficult move, the first one to leave. Now the political pressure is off. If a second school wants to make the jump to the Big 12, following a large research AAU school of University of Colorado, the second school that leaves becomes much easier internally, politically. For example, Arizona. Now we believe, even tonight, now we're at 8:57 p.m. Central Time, 9:57 Eastern Time, 6:57 Pacific Time. We still believe that Arizona still isn't at the center of the stage. Even today, we got information. They're not quite there. They are not there. They're close, but they are not there. So in other words, if Colorado would announce on Wednesday or Thursday or Friday that they're leaving the Pac-12 for the 2024 season, If Colorado announces tomorrow or Thursday or Friday that they have applied to the Big 12, and the Big 12 says, we have received Colorado's application and we're going to be voting on it, I think there's a very, very, very good chance for this time it's only Colorado and not Arizona. If it is Arizona with Colorado, peek around the corner, even though we have Arizona sitting close to Colorado, we would take the L on that. We don't see it happening with Arizona here with Colorado. Eventually, we'll take another look at it. Probably yes, because we've got them so close to Colorado on the stage in Act 12. But we don't have them quite at the center of the stage. We've never been able to put them there with Colorado. We haven't done it. For those who are new to our channel, there's a lot of people new to the channel. Before we get to your comments and to, most importantly, your phone calls, let me explain something here. Larry Keith, Red Raiders are ready to start traveling to Colorado once again. Larry Keith, thank you sir for your super chat. I appreciate your generosity. Appreciate you coming in and being a part of the PATC community. Thank you Larry, so very much. Texas Tech. However, Texas Tech now are going to have to be recruiting battles with TCU, Colorado. Deion Sanders coming into the state of Texas. Going to be a lot of good battles going on, recruiting battles. Of course, the football games, which matters the most. The Red Raiders, though, they're setting themselves up pretty good for 2023. Let me explain something here because there's so many new people to the channel. We have the PATC community. We have the PATC Sportsbook, imaginary sportsbook, right? We talk about the games, the lines, the spreads. Last year I did horrible. The PATC community has nicknamed me Greg the Cooler, but I guarantee you, this year I'm going to be Greg the Heater. I did so bad last year. We'll talk about it at a different day. We'll talk about my incredible, horrific winning percentage against the spread. That's all going to change in 2023. Probably not. But anyways, we have the PATC Sportsbook. We also have the PATC Theater. We haven't given a name to it yet. In that theater, we have Act 10, Act 11, all the acts prior, and now we have Act 12. In the middle of May, we talked about an Act 12 happening on June 1st, and we said there were going to be action scenes in Act 12, that things were going to happen. It has started. June 1st, it started. We had a lot of stuff going on in the month of May, which we'll talk about in detail when this happens, when it breaks officially. But Act 12, the stage was set. Colorado's in the middle of the stage, center stage. The main actor in this play thus far, George Kliavkoff and Brett Yormark is standing next to Colorado. Arizona's a couple arm lengths away from Colorado, but not in the center of the stage. The first row, nobody occupies it anymore. Oregon and Washington were in the first row for Act 11, the start of Act 12. They've left within the Fox executive. Tony Petitti, the Big Ten commissioner, was on the far right, last seat of the first row. He has left the building as well. In the 15th row sits Arizona State and Utah. In the 20th row sits UConn. That's how we got it set up. The closer you are to the stage, the more important, if you're on the stage, the more important, of course, you are to the play at this moment in time. So that's how we try to describe what's going on in the best way possible that I can, because I cannot give it all away because we have people we need to protect. But there is a story to tell, and we're going to tell it in full detail when this becomes official. I was just wanted to put all that out there because there are new people coming in. They read Act 12. They're going, what the heck? Is this a theater class? What is going on? Greg Flugar sometimes sings on his channel. Is this a college football channel or is this bad singing YouTube channel? This is a college football YouTube channel. We do things a little bit different here at Peek Around the Corner. Okay. The Zags are eating popcorn in the lobby. Thank you, Conundrum. Gonzaga was in the auditorium. Then they left weeks ago. They got in the car. They drove away. Now they've come back and they're in the front foyer. And we talked about this in weeks and weeks. At least for the last 3 weeks. And now you're seeing reports today. You saw a report today. We did episode 234 today. That UConn right now is favored over Gonzaga within the Big 12. We gave you that information 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. Gonzaga and the Big 12, they're having a hard time fitting what they both want out of the relationship. Now, with UConn, it doesn't mean that UConn's going to get an invite. No, it doesn't. We're just telling you, we've been telling you for weeks, there's legit interest. Brett Yormark, if he gets, we're going to get to your phone calls in a second. If Brett Yormark is able to get a four-corner school and maybe another one, Brett Yormark's going to have the political capital, the IOUs, the attaboys, the pat on the backs. He could play it all. He could spend that all to the Big 12 presidents to bring in UConn. If he wants it, I think he's going to get it. You understand what I'm saying? Brett Yormark was the guy who took a schedule. He was 18 months away from getting into the exclusive negotiating window with Fox and with ESPN, the Big 12 current media partners, and he moved all the way up. He moved all the way up and got in front of the line of the Pac-12. And Brett Yormark, when he got up in front of the front line and he got back in negotiating with ESPN and Fox, when Fox and ESPN said, yes, we will negotiate with you now, they could have said no, but they said yes. Brett Yormark took that and he went out in public and he said, I think I'm going to get a deal done. I think I'm going to get a deal done. You remember that? And you remember some writers out in the West Coast said, Brett Yormark, he's always selling and selling and selling. He's a salesman. Like, that is a bad thing to be a commissioner, to be a salesman. You have to sell. You have to sell your conference. You have to sell your institutions. You have to sell yourselves to your media partners. You have to sell yourselves to future media partners. You have to sell yourself to students. You have to sell yourself to student athletes. Of course, that's what you have to do. When Brett Yormark came all the way up in front of the Pac-12, and then he actually closed. Brett Yormark actually closed. Got the deal done. On October 30th, episode 83, we at Peek Around the Corner said, Yormark just smashed a home run. Pac-12 is in trouble because they're not going to be able to get the exposure they need to survive. Not to survive, but to thrive, to increase their presence in college football landscape. I was raked. We were raked over the coals constantly. People were saying Brett Yormark left money on the table. He didn't leave money on the table. What Brett Yormark did was secure the future of the institutions that are in the Big 12 Conference. And now he's trying to expand. Why is he trying to expand from east to west? Is he wants to make it a national conference. He understands to increase the Big 12 value, he needs to increase the Big 12 value to his media partners. To increase the value to his media partners, he has to open up a fourth time window. Brett Yormark had a plan. He had a vision. The Big 12 presidents should get kudos for hiring Brett Yormark. And this is where we are today. Let's get to your phone calls. Let's not waste any more time. Everybody is tired of listening to me talk. We want to hear you talk. What do you think? Are we going to see something happen tomorrow, the next day, or is it going to last till Friday? I think Brett Yormark, if he wants a decision, if he wants this to be announced, I think he wants to do it early in the week. Early in the week, because you want good news to come out early in the week. And Brett Yormark is a master of branding and projecting and putting it out there, advertising his conference. So it should be interesting. Does it happen tomorrow? Does it wait for Thursday? Does it wait till next Tuesday, for example? Let me know your thoughts on that. Once again, this is all about, bam, special board meeting, June 9th, 8 o'clock to 8:30. Just 30 minutes long. Just 30 minutes long. Could Colorado, public meeting from 8 to 8:30, what would they be talking about? Is that enough time just to vote on something? Interesting. Let's get to your phone calls. Let me know what you all are thinking. I got to open them up first. We're going to be busy. A lot of phone calls going to be coming in. Phone lines are now open. Phone lines are now open. Nope.
Call from
Ryan Thomas.
Ryan Thomas, you are on the line. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Greg. Well, Greg, I think if you turn out to be right on, Colorado and Arizona on Peek Around the Corner Theater, I think we can't, I think we can take away the title Greg the Cooler.
Yeah. Well, no. Greg the Cooler is about predictions with football games against the spread. So that's all that's about. It was never about anything else. And I got to prove I could be Greg the Cooler again for 2023. I mean, let's be honest here. My winning percentage last year, I mean, it was below 40%. That's all I'm going to say. It was much lower than 40%. That's all I'm going to say. But go ahead. The floor is yours.
You know what, Greg? Sometimes we're really good at some things, and sometimes we can use improvement in others. And you've been pretty good at staying on top of these sources and following, kind of giving us that around the corner. So
make sure you're here when the story breaks, so we can give the details. Okay?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And to all you who are joining for the first time, Greg is a great host. It's a great show. He's really fair to people that call in, so you can completely disagree with him, and he'll give you the floor, and it's a wonderful environment and a great chat. Anyway,
thank you, sir.
First of all, this seems to be following the exact same course as 13 years ago in 2010. This seems like this is how it's unfolding, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if there was an announcement tomorrow that Colorado was going back to the Big 12. I wouldn't be surprised if that broke tomorrow. And I think the reason why they'd want to do that, and I think your mark, like you said, it would make sense to me to break it tomorrow, because that would send sort of a message to Arizona to accelerate the process. So we'll see what happens there. I do want to point out, that Washington State blanket authority to sign the grant of rights, I'm starting to think whether or not maybe Kliavkoff has presented a deal before the PAC, and maybe that's why Colorado is deciding to pull the trigger now, and maybe Washington State just wants to sign something as soon as possible and try to keep everyone together.
That could be.
I could be totally wrong. I'm just hypothesizing. I have no evidence. But I mean, I think that all these people, to go back to the academics and board members, they probably have had something, at least some sort of concrete number that they could share to make this decision. I think maybe the problem with Arizona and Arizona State is I think Arizona wants Arizona State to come with it. I just think Michael Crow's probably being very stubborn, and we'll see what happens. But I can certainly say that if Colorado breaks the ice, I think a lot of things will start coming together. With the Big 12 looking at UConn, this is starting to kind of grow on me a little bit, Greg. I could see it happening if UConn was brought in at a discount. probably just paying for the basketball, but not really paying for the football. I could see that happening. And the reason why is because if you can get Big 12 basketball talked about in the Northeast corridor, that whole New England, New York market area, and you can kind of, get basketball talked about and make the Big 12 a center stage basketball league and have it kind of, be something that people follow, that whole area, getting them involved and connected really increases TV ratings for basketball and probably goes to the objective of trying to bid the rights separately. I mean, if and whether it's UConn or if it's St. John's or if it's Villanova or something like that, I don't know how that's going to work out. I sort of see the logic to that. But I think, like you said, before that happens, I think Yormark's going to try to get the four corner schools, and if he does, we'll see. If Arizona bolts and I think Arizona State will probably be pressured to go with them. The Regents can kind of, the universities can do what they want, but I think if, the difference between Cal and UCLA and Arizona State is Cal didn't have an invite, Arizona State does. And if Arizona State willingly turned down more money and an opportunity to follow Arizona, they're not going to punish Arizona for that. And I also think that given the financial situation of Arizona having to pay for that, Arizona State having to pay for the stadium debt and all the other issues that they have there, I wouldn't be surprised if Michael Crow is given an option. If you oppose this, you'll be given an early retirement. I will not go down that, but I've never seen a more incompetent president. But we'll go from there. Him and Ray Anderson are complete clowns. But with that, I think it'll be interesting to see. I think that when Arizona goes, Arizona State, and probably Utah, who's in that row with Arizona State. Utah's probably going to hightail and go because I think you're going to probably see I think you'll probably see Arizona go separately from Arizona State. But I think once you see Arizona and Colorado gone, you're going to start hearing more. You're going to start seeing real steam on Oregon and Washington. I mean, real steam. I don't know if when you said they went out with Tony and other places, I don't know what kind of theater you're talking about. They may be on the center stage of another theater somewhere else. But, I will say that I think if Arizona and Colorado go, I would not be surprised to see in the next coming weeks if there was some real hot steam that was popping up with Washington and Oregon and maybe Stanford and Cal. I don't know. And I think at that point, Arizona State and Utah will probably decide to come on down to that stage and get on. But anyway, we'll see what happens. Great job on the show. I hope everyone has a good night. Thanks for everybody for your thoughts and contributions. And everybody, God bless.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Ryan. Great call once again. Thank you, sir. Now, I see the PATC chat. It seems like there's a running theory here that the Pac-12 received an offer.
Call from
Immaculate.
Can you just hold one moment?
Sure can.
I just want to kind of flush something out here.
Yep.
There seems to be a running theory that, which is great, I love those, that Pac-12, there may be George Kliavkoff has presented some sort of media deal to these presidents. Washington State is having a meeting talking about giving the board or whoever, the president, whoever, the rights to sign the new grant of rights, whatever. If that was the case, it would have leaked. We would have a report on it. There would be a major college football reporting on this. I don't even care if it's all Apple TV. And no, Apple TV doesn't leak, but we would heard something. If it had any positive traction to it at all, someone would have taken that and ran with it to make sure they don't bleed out before they can get the deal done. I mean, if you're going to have a deal here coming up soon, the Pac-12, your leadership has to get the good vibes out before it comes out. You have to win a message war for at least one day. There has to be some sort of positive leak surrounding ahead of this media deal. That's why I'm not buying it. If someone can show me something of substance that Washington State has a deal that they're willing to sign, I just don't. I get it. I read that meeting thing. I couldn't make heads or tails of it, but you all are smarter than me. Some of you are saying this could be Washington State planning on giving their leadership, the ability to sign the new grant of rights. I just don't see it. I don't see it. But you know what? Let me know how wrong I am. People are saying the money sources told him the PAC deal was done months ago. I don't see it, guys and gals. So anyways, the floor is yours, Immaculate. Go ahead, sir.
Exciting stuff. How you doing, man? How much are you holding in?
I'm not, you know what? I'm not holding in a whole lot because we don't know for sure that June 9th is the vote, right? It's only a 30-minute long meeting. Like Oakley Burklow, the 2010 meeting for CU to vote to leave was only 35 minutes long. So it's following the history. We do know, Immaculate, we do know that the meeting today was about realignment. We do know we got that locked in. Again, I don't see any reports out there. Probably tomorrow you'll see a report. So that's what I was holding in. Not holding it in any longer. But that's about it. I mean, this thing could go so many different ways after this first domino falls. It's going to be amazing to watch. But go ahead, Immaculate. What do you got to say?
So first, you're saying this was a private meeting, and it said that it was for legal talk.
Yes.
Legal discussion.
Yes.
And it's come out that it was truly about realignment.
It hasn't come out except for I'm telling you it was.
Oh, okay.
And
we'll take that to the bank right now.
And everybody, you can take, you can, there's no reason to believe us. I'm all for you guys saying, no, Greg, you're wrong, or how could you know that, Greg? We have more than one, so we're not just going with one source or one outlet or one whatever. We believe strongly that the meeting today had to do with the possibility of realignment. Take that however you want to take it.
It would make sense.
Yeah.
It does look like it's following the same script. Doesn't mean that it is the same thing.
Yeah.
But the Tuesday meeting, if it really was about realignment, and then a short one on Friday would be you got all the information, all the legal notes, everything in front of you. You have 2 or 3 days to go over it, make your decision. Friday's going to have an open call-in. I don't see why they need to be in person just to have a vote. Just the opposite. That seems like a waste of time and money and everything for these people who probably have other things to do. So
yeah,
from wherever all they got to do is just call in, make their vote, good to go.
And before you go on, Immaculate, and I'll give you all the time you need. We did say in the previous live show, or the previous to the previous live show, we did say that the vote would be just a procedural thing, like it would happen real quick. People would pop in, pop out. In this case, it would be remote. It's still public. Pop in, pop out. So this one, it's not like it has to be an all-day thing or even an hour thing. So this is lining up. But go ahead, sir.
Yeah. To go into it a little bit further, I did have a moment this morning when I was in my vehicle that I sat up very straight and went, holy shit, did I just hear that? One thing that's odd here in Phoenix is that for a long time now, our sports radio, which I listen to damn near religiously, has not talked realignment at all. Not since our last morning show did the guys talk about it, and the new guys, Bickley and Murata, have not at all. This morning was the first morning I've heard them bring it up for the entire time that this show has been on in the morning shift.
Okay.
And these guys, Bickley, he's a big sports writer for the, the Arizona Republic or whatever, kind of the big ones here online. And Murata, he's the voice of the Suns. Like, if you go there, you'll hear him. He's the announcer guy. And the tone was definitely one of, they will be sad if the PAC goes. But they all pretty much understood, like, if the money is there and it's better there, to actually go. And these are not guys who would have that type of opinion. It would be more of the maintained tradition. So they all kind of seemed resigned to it, if I could say that. And for them to just now all of a sudden be talking about this, it's kind of almost like the schools might have said, hey, if you guys cannot talk about this a lot, not put a lot of pressure, not get the public riled up. Because they went into pretty heavy detail, and the final tone from them was, if the PAC pulls this off, it'll be the greatest upset of all time. And that's from guys who talk to the president, talk to the AD, have interviews with them. So take it for what people will. First time that they've talked realignment on the radio here in Phoenix for a long time, and that was pretty much their position, was connect with the crowd, saying, oh, yeah, miss the PAC, hate how money is ruling everything. But then their talk shifted over into, well, if this is what's best for it, and they even confirmed that the Regents said it's okay if the schools split, that they're not suggesting them to do it, but they won't stop them from doing it. So that went out public this morning in Phoenix. But it does kind of seem like Arizona's probably in this with Colorado. That this is happening. Arizona's ready to go. The board has given their blessing. Arizona State seems to probably be sit back, see how this goes. Or maybe they're just the next wave. Who knows? We'll find out. But that was really quite shocking to me. I know folks listening might think, oh, wow, big deal. They talked about it on radio. But they haven't been talking about this on the radio for the entire time that this situation has been going on with the PAC television deal and not being able to get one. So I found that to be quite enlightening to me, that it's kind of, they've been free to talk about it.
I want to say one thing, Immaculate.
Yeah.
Larry Pilgrim. Jason Shearer has been pushing Arizona narrative days after USC-UCLA announced Kazano and Shearer biased beyond reason. I will say this about Jason Shearer. Take this however you want it. He's been dead on. He's been nails on this story. When I don't talk to Jason. Jason doesn't know me from a hole in the wall. But when we have information that peek around the corner, Jason seems to have similar information, and I know we're probably not getting it from the same. Jason has been absolutely dead nuts on, and I think a lot of people are going to find out about that pretty soon. And I might have spoken to Jason once in my life on Twitter, maybe. So it isn't something that him and I are talking about this at all. He doesn't know me, but he has been more than dead on this story. So you can talk about people's bias. Everyone is biased. I'm biased here at Peek Around the Corner. But Jason has been dead on. So go ahead, Immaculate. Sorry to interrupt you once again.
No, it's your show, brother. I do kind of get the feeling that Shearer has some type of connection to the school. How high that goes, who knows? he does seem to pop up to do an interview here or there at the precisely right time. We'll just say that. The other thing I kind of want to talk with you about, if you don't mind, just so I can pontificate on something, is UConn. I know it's been coming up a lot. Not you in particular, but I see people kind of going all over the place on this. Once again, folks, I think tend to look a little too much on the lines of how good their football program is. One thing I've said in chats and in postings and whatnot is every single football game requires a loser. One thing you don't want.
I know that very well.
Yeah, you need it. And so not every team that you invite to a conference, their value is not necessarily measured in how many games their team will win. Sometimes it can be how many games will your football lose, and then what other value will you bring? UConn will bring their value in basketball. UConn could be used in a division of the future that might be slightly weaker, but you have some programs that you might want to build up. So provides them a win, say like a Syracuse, kind of a regional rivalry. So I actually see the value in UConn. I just wonder if the numbers will line up on it.
Yeah.
Because they're, when you start to parse out the entire ACC, which if anything's going to come out of the ACC, the whole thing probably has to move. Once you start to parse that out to the Big 12, it's looking like actually quite a few of the Northeast schools would have to go to the Big 12. So I don't know if UConn fits in. It really comes down to new divisional rules, how many could fit, but whatnot. But I just think kind of people they're missing the tone that you're not inviting UConn to come in and blow up the football world.
No.
You would invite UConn to come in because you need them up there geographically. Two, people don't think about this. ESPN headquarters is in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And they get sweetheart tax deals, and Big 12 has a TV deal with them, and ESPN is looking to save money in places. So maybe ESPN trying to get a deal with the state of Connecticut right now while they're hurting. Connecticut's like, well, why don't you get our college into a conference? And so there might be a whole lot of political maneuvering going on there in that regard between the Big 12 and ESPN.
Yeah, if you bring in UConn, and we're not saying it's a done deal by any measure, we're just saying the interest is legit. Been saying that for weeks. You bring in UConn, suddenly the New York media is saying the words Big 12. What, 100 times more every week than they do now, the New York media? That's what Brett Yormark is trying to. He's trying to gain the New York media. Just like the Big Ten tried to gain a little bit of the New York media in some cable boxes, getting Rutgers, New Jersey, big state, big population, a lot of Big Ten alumni. Brett Yormark is thinking about working on getting UConn in the Big 12 to get that New York media, which he knows so very well. Brett Yormark, that's his wheelhouse, the New York media, right? This is Brett Yormark. If there's an opportunity, if the dominoes fall or not fall, just perfectly for UConn, they have a shot. I think Brett Yormark's going to use his political capital within the Big 12 to get the Big 12 presidents on board. So we shall see another fascinating part of this story. But great call, Brian. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Looking forward to seeing how this goes. You have yourself a great night.
Beautiful. I don't know where this 19 million is coming from. Pac-10 may actually have a number. I don't. Who is reporting 19 million?
Call from
Jason.
Jason, thanks for calling, sir. The floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. I'll keep it quick. You've mentioned a few times, these are questions for you, by the way. You've mentioned a few times Washington and Oregon. Specifically, my opinion is if things get truly shaky for the Pac-12, Oregon and Washington could look both ways. But you previously mentioned Washington Board of Regents really doesn't like the Pac-12.
There's a member that doesn't really like the Big 12. Yeah.
Okay. If you're not comfortable saying it, is there something I can search on Google to get a little more information on more details of why that might be?
No, I can't get into it. All I'm going to say is there's one board member who would fight tooth and nail for Washington not to join the Big 12. That's all I feel comfortable in saying. We said that a few months ago, and I can't really get into more than that.
Do they have a history with the Big 12, or they just really don't like certain parties within it?
He doesn't like the prospect of the University of Washington being in the same athletic conference with the institutions of the Big 12. That's about as far as I'm going to go.
Gotcha.
So
it's more association versus like a personal matter.
I would think you're headed in the right direction. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Next one is I've heard you numerous times say, hey, you want to protect your sources. So with that being said, and knowing that, what are you still able to share, hey, this is what I think or I've been told, without revealing any of your sources to better help us say, hey, Greg knows what he's talking about. Here's what he's hearing. Here's what he says.
No, I completely understand. We were told middle of April. We were told about a hot bubble of action. That's how I described it. Something was going to happen. It looked like something was going to happen in between April 28th and May 17th. It happened on May 7th. There was a big event, and a very important event. On April 28th, we learned, the first day of the hot bubble of action, we learned why it was happening on May 7th, why it wasn't happening the last week in April, why it wasn't happening the weekend after May 7th and May 6th. We learned a lot of information we didn't even have to learn for the story. We knew something was going to happen May 7th. We found out the location. So then we tracked it. We told everybody, looks like the hot bubble of action is going to happen, blah, 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 without going into details. It did happen. It had a big effect on the story. So May 7th, you want to circle that date. Then on May 24th, May 7th happened in a city in the Midwest. May 24th, there was an event that's not like May 7th, but it happened in Boulder, Colorado. We tracked it. We learned about it on May 16th or May 17th. It happened. Then a similar event to May 24th, the Big Brother event of May 24th, happened on May 31st. It did not happen in Boulder, Colorado. It happened in a state west of Colorado. It was the Big Brother to May 24th. We tracked it. It happened. It had a major effect on what we believe is about to go on. So we've given in real time, just like we did with the USC story that nobody else had, starting March 31st, 2022. Now other people have what we have. That's why we're confident that when this story breaks, people will report it, national reporters, and they will indicate the dates that I just gave you. You're going to be able to line it up and figure out what we knew in real time. And I know we have frustrated people, PATC community, but there was no way that we could. That's why we set up the PATC Theater to best illustrate what was going on, why we kept putting Colorado in the center of the stage, why we weren't putting anybody else in the center of the stage, because we knew what was going on. It's the reason why we moved UConn in there about a month ago, 3 weeks ago.
So, Greg, in the interest of keeping this short and for other callers as well, for example, you were comfortable sharing back in 2021, hey, I think the USC called the Big Ten.
Yes.
Are you able to share some of these events without compromising your sources?
Not this time. This is totally different. Last time there was nobody. I was flying the plane solo, and I was actually being instructed what to say on Twitter, advised what to say on Twitter at times, told don't say that from people who had the interest of USC going to the Big Ten. I was leaked all sorts of information, and this is a totally different atmosphere. This is other people knowing it. There's no way I'm going to repeat what I did. Even though I did in 2022 what I did, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. This is different. That's all I cannot. Once the story breaks, once officially something happens, I will give the full details of those dates. But
I'll leave you with this.
You, those will be part of the story.
You put it excellently.
What was that?
You put it previously excellent. And, Pac-12 got hit in the stomach.
Yeah.
What more can you say on that? Because that is just very broad. Anything to help us? Is this related to realignment, or is it related to something?
Absolutely
a personal friction.
Related to realignment. Related
okay.
to realignment that happened in a city in the Midwest. It didn't even happen in a Big 12 state or a Pac-12 state. It was a major event. It was the turning point. And not a whole lot of people knew about it, but there was some other people that knew about it other than me, and I'm not going to jump out in front of the story on it. Just not going to do it.
Yeah, you'll let them report it first. Understand.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Have a good night.
You got it. Great call. Thanks. John, thanks for the super chat. First, Kevin hit us under the cloak of night, and now Brett will plunge the golden dagger. Thank you, John, for your generosity once again to our show. I appreciate it. What is going on in the chat about... Hold on. Okay, let me get this call. I got a question to ask.
Call from
Mo and Vision.
Mo and Vision, can you hold on a second? Or maybe
Sure,
you can
Greg.
help answer this. I don't know. What is this $19 million, the Pac-12? What is this $19 million people keep bringing up? Who is reporting that the Pac-12 has been given a $19 million deal? I keep seeing it in the chat over and over again. Is anybody reporting this? Just give me a little bit of... Everybody's saying $19 million. Where is this coming from? Where is this coming from? Monty? Okay. Okay, I don't. Okay, thank you for answering my question. Mo and Vision, the floor is yours. What do you got to say, good sir?
All right. Well, I think those people are trying to say 90 million because I believe the Monty show's been reporting that it's a 90 million annual overall for the entire
ESPN?
with whatever portion ESPN will.
Yeah, and that is actually something that the Monty show got right. The $90 million was the offer that ESPN, that's the number we got. And we didn't talk about it peek around the corner. I just said it was a low ball figure. I didn't want to put it out there. It wasn't going to push the story any. It was a number. And then when Monty said it, I said, okay, they got some good information somewhere. 19 million for each school. I haven't heard that. If that's the case, then that conference is going to implode. But go ahead, Monovision. The floor is yours.
Well, I want to take umbrage with a comment you made earlier. You said the weak point of Peek Around the Corner is the host, and I just wanted to say I disagree with that vehemently.
Thank you, sir.
I think you offer a unique perspective. You are always willing to take accountability when you get something wrong. You're the first one to admit it. When most other hosts are out there trying to rationalize it and spin it into how they got it right. And I want to give my regards to the little general for letting you come on tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
Letting you share your wisdom with us. A few things that I want to answer. As to Greg's sources, I know you have good sources because I picked up something from the Ohio State athletic department that you had mentioned 2 weeks prior that I accidentally picked up from somebody in the athletic department. So I know your sources are good. I trust what you say. Second thing, UConn joining the Big 12. I am opposed to any G5s joining the Big 12. I think perception is reality, and adding any future G5 members to the mix in the Big 12 is really going to set them up to appear very weak. It's nothing personal against those G5s, but they literally just added 3 G5s. If they have to add, 1, 2, you're delegitimizing yourself as the third best conference out there. Yormark has to understand that he's trying to make the number 3 conference.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, Monovision. I'll get you back to the floor. Let's just say, we're just pretending here. Let's just say that Yormark was able to get 3 Pac-12 schools. And he wanted one more. He wanted to get to a 16th full member. If you were in Brett Yormark's catbird seat, so to speak, would you be, and if you could take any one of these, would you take San Diego State, UNLV, Memphis, UConn, which one, Boise State, which one would you take if you were sitting in Brett Yormark's chair and you needed one more to make a 16th full member conference by taking 3 Pac-12 schools?
Well, we're making this assumption on Utah not going to the Big 12.
No, we're just pretending here, right? 3 Pac-12 schools join the Big 12, right? 3 of them. Let's just say the 2 Arizona schools in Colorado, just for conversation purposes only. Now Brett Yormark's got 1 spot to fill. He wants to go to 16 full member schools. Don't want to be hanging at 15. What G5 school, if you can't get any other Power 5 school, which one would you take if you were in Yormark's seat? Would you take San Diego State, Fresno State, Boise State, Memphis, UConn? Which G5 school would you select, Monovision?
I think you would have to take, if you're taking a G5, obviously I would try and get another PAC school, either Oregon State
but if
or
you
Washington
can't,
State.
Now.
But if not, you would take San Diego State.
Okay.
Because of the California market, they've got that nice new stadium for football. They've shown promise in football, and they made it to the finals of the basketball tournament this year. There's a lot more going for San Diego State than UConn. And I don't think UConn delivers enough of the New York market. They don't have a stadium on campus.
True.
I think San Diego State would be a better prospect if you're going to do that. But I think you want to go out of your way to make sure you don't have to do that.
Now, Immaculate said pair USF with UCF.
Again, you're duplicating your markets, though. I don't know that that's really necessary. You've already got one school in Florida.
They're 2 big markets.
They are, but I mean, California gives you a pipeline to California recruiting.
Yeah, I agree.
California television markets.
I agree. Yep.
I think you would go to San Diego State. But like I said, that would be the worst case scenario for you. Your ideal thing is to get 4 PAC schools. So you're adding 4 more Power 5 schools to your conference and bolstering your roster to make yourself appear as a legitimate contender for the number 3 conference.
Yeah.
Because when that ACC breaks up, schools are going to be looking, And, the Big 12 is going to have to make its pitch to them. So I think they want to be as strong as possible before getting into that.
Yeah.
Now, as to Oregon and Washington leaving the theater with the Big Ten commissioner, are they only doing that because they don't want to be a witness to the crime?
I've been asked that question a few times in the chat room, in the calls, and I've been able to avoid answering that question. And now, I will say this. Oregon and Washington and Fox Sports executive that was sitting in the front row during Act 12, that's still going on, they left separately than Tony Petitti. Tony Petitti also left the building, but they went in different cars. So let's make that clear. Oregon, Washington went with Fox Sports executive. They've driven out of the parking lot. Tony Petitti got in his car, driving to the airport, but in a separate car. I want to make that clear. As of right now, I want to, when we get into Act 13, we'll be tracking where those vehicles, where those cars go, and if they come back into the theater. Okay?
So Tony Petitti drove to the airport, but he didn't board a plane yet. He's just in long-term parking.
Well, yeah, I think he boarded the plane. I think I can say that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but we've got.
Where's Notre Dame at in the theater, Greg?
They're not part of the play. They're not yet.
Okay.
No, that's not that we know of. Else we would. They're not around the building at all. Not right now. Nope. Not that we know of.
Greg. Well, that's what I wanted to know. So
got it.
You're the man, and we'll buckle up.
Got it. Thank you. Buckle up. Brace for impact. Great call, Motivision. Appreciate it. Thank you, No Sir, for the super chat. Thank you for your generosity coming in to peek around the corner PATC community. I appreciate it so very much. Thank you. Phone calls are rolling in as we discuss.
Call from
Brown.
Nathan, is that you?
It is, Greg. How you doing tonight?
Good. How are you doing, sir? What's going on?
Well, for one thing, I think you're appointment viewing now at this point, aren't you?
With a face like this and a voice like this, I don't think so. And by the way, if and when Colorado decides to make it official that they're going to the Big 12, we start the next live show with your host singing Colorado Mountain High. So that is not appointment viewing or listening, just to be clear.
Well, I got to tell you, it's like a little bit of crack cocaine coming. It's a hit that everybody needs. So
yeah,
you're
all right.
doing a great job. Anyway, the reason I called in is I love Motivision, and I really appreciate his comments about the value of G5 and the perception deal. I'm sensitive to that because I've been a BYU fan for 50 years.
Yeah.
So I understand what that perception battle is like. The question I have, and I think he was trying to ask this too, but maybe in a different way, is the 16th team. I think either UConn or San Diego State could fit that bill. I realize what he was saying about San Diego State, the new stadium and whatnot.
Yeah.
But the Northeast is an untapped resource. Now, I know they said the same thing when Rutgers joined the Big Ten, so it's not like it's an instant gratification thing. But I think UConn should be an option.
Well, they are an option. And we were in on that very early. We gave a good peek for everybody that UConn was definitely legit candidate.
Right.
We had them in the auditorium way before there were articles written about it, really. And they're legit. It's a legit thing, but things have to go their way. So we shall see.
So it literally is an if then this situation, and I know you've been describing it for days and weeks and months, but at this point we're down to the wire, and it really feels like it's literally dominoes. Is that how you're picturing it yourself?
Yeah, it's dominoes. It's dominoes. Colorado controls its own destiny. UConn,
Okay.
we do not believe UConn does. Now, and we don't believe Arizona is in the center of the stage with Colorado. But, we could easily take the L's on this pretty soon because, when you get to the crunch time, things can get fluid. We'll still take the L's on it. We'll still take the loss. We don't think UConn or Arizona is if this thing gets announced in the next 3 days, we don't think they're going to be part of the announcement. But, we shall see.
I think the thing that is really, really interesting and why it's drawn so much attention, and I've covered on my shows, you've covered on yours, and there's others that have done it. And the reason it's so important is people care more about college athletics, specifically football, than I think almost any other sport in the United States. It's very similar to Premier League soccer and the World Cup. The passion that goes with these schools is actually deeper than any professional team, in my opinion. And that's why you're getting this type of activity, and you're dealing with people's lives here. And I know we don't want to get serious and stuff, but at the end of the day, these choices are going to last years, hopefully decades. And I think that's why it's so important to cover.
Yes. Yeah. It's also a symptom of what's happening across the landscape. Like, it's changing, guys and gals. We don't, we call ourselves peek around the corner, but we do not have a crystal ball. We can only see so far ahead. The things are going to be changing here, and this is a symptom of it. Schools are trying to position themselves to make sure they're part of the 2026 gold rush. That's going to be the new college football playoffs, the new contract. Yep. It's going to be, we don't know how many schools are going to be in it. We don't even know who's going to be in the room to vote for this change. So everybody's trying to position themselves to be part of that gold rush. All that money's coming in, because I'm going to tell you something, Nathan, that 2026 college football playoff contract, it's going to be a lot more money. A lot more money than what they're getting in 2024 and 2025. Everybody wants a cut of that. San Diego State, they want a cut of it. UConn, they want a cut of it. Everybody's saying that UConn, no way should they take a Big 12 invite. They should stay in the Big East and hopefully win the 6th college basketball national championship. But UConn, to pay for their bills, they take so much money from the university to help to pay the athletic department bills. They want a piece of that gold rush if they can get it. That's what this is all about. So this is a symptom of what is happening. More realignment is on its way.
I think the thing that's a takeaway, and really the school that I think is your hinge for the door that's going into your theater, is what Utah wants to do. If Utah holds out and tries to keep the Pac-12 propped up after they lose even a couple schools, that is going to dictate then who is added as the 15th and 16th team to the Big 12. I think those changes are coming, and Utah is really going to be the hint. Larry Pilgrim probably disagrees with me, but I really think it's going to be up to them who gets those extra 2 invites.
And the only thing I can add to that is we had Utah outside of the Pac-12 theater, but just recently, I think it was 2 live shows ago, they came in to the front foyer, and now they're sitting in the 15th row along with Arizona State. There has been some late movement from Utah. There's now interest. I think Utah is not quite as cold to the Big 12 as they were a couple weeks ago. This is late movement that we've been talking about here at Peek Around the Corner. Utah is the late mover. We're not saying they're about to rush the stage. We're not saying they're a character that's going to take center stage in the next days or in the next week, but there is some movement with Utah. No question about it.
Well, everybody keep paying attention to Greg's show and really key off of him. He's not a news breaker. He's a news reporter, and you just keep up the good work, Greg.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate
we'll see what the next 2 weeks looks like.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks. Great call, Nathan. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Great call. Great call.
Call from
Lewis.
Lewis is on the line. Lewis, can I say something first?
Sure, Greg.
This Athlon college football magazine, they've got some good things said about Duke this year.
Duke surprises people.
Yeah, they're high on Duke. They are high on Duke. Now they won 9 games last year. They say no one. They do a ACC assistant coach. They have a coach say their thoughts about each school. At the end, it says no one thinks they're going to win 9 games again this season, but no one thought they would win 9 games last year. And they talk about Mike Elko doing an incredible job, has a great reputation in the industry, some really good stuff. I'm going to go through this in an episode sooner or later. But Duke, they got some steam this year. But go ahead, Lewis. Sorry about that. The floor is yours.
Absolutely. Well, Duke does not draw, because I follow West Virginia, and I follow Duke. If West Virginia goes in the pit, the place is electric. If Duke goes in the pit, there are 30,000 people there, and it's like a golf match. So Duke is able to benefit from that. They don't face a hostile atmosphere, and they have a pretty good team. So we'll see what happens. But a couple things. First of all, if this is not it, and I didn't think it was it, but hearing this meeting scheduled 3 days later, if this is not it, then the Pac-12 is probably staying together, because I don't know what other meeting they could have. But if this is it, we will have this leaked within 24 hours. And the agenda has to come out in about 36 hours, 24 hours before the meeting. There's no agenda yet.
Yes, sir.
They'll have to have an agenda. If the agenda is they're voting to leave the conference, that'll be out. So it will leak. I did not think it was this week. I thought it would take a couple of more weeks. I don't think the Pac-12 has a deal, because that would have leaked, although it wouldn't surprise me. Having lived through 2010 when the Big 12 saved itself in the 11th hour, maybe 5 minutes till midnight, and saved itself, that could happen. But other than that, I think this is it, and the Colorado is coming. And that will happen fast and furious, and that'll lead to other moves. I would not be surprised, and I'm just predicting this, I'm not an insider, if Colorado got a significant boot, a significant payday, significant sweeteners to be the first to move. And those sweeteners will be less for every other school that moves, to the point where at the end, if it looks like the Pac-12 is falling apart, the schools that come in near the end may not get the same deal that Colorado gets. We'll watch and see if that's the case.
Okay, let me from what we have gathered, we said this weeks ago, the sweetness is going to be the same for Colorado. For whoever the other, if 3 more Pac-12 schools come in behind Colorado, they're all going to get the same sweetener. It's going to be full ride in the Big 12, $31.7 million a year, $44 million projected conference payouts for 2024. Excuse me. It's they're all going to get the same thing, because because ESPN is contractually, they have to do it, and Fox has the motivation. Cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger. Fox Sports has the motivation for Big 12 to be able to do the action that they want to do. So we think that now there's been reports that have been backing it up here recently that Colorado, they're coming in. Colorado's best value to the Big 12 is that they're the first, right? That they be the first school. The other schools, they're going to get the same sweetener. We believe that at Peek Around the Corner. But go ahead, Lewis.
Well, we'll see. Well, that'll all come out in the end. It just, to me, they're the ones taking the risk because there's a possibility they could leave. And just like happened in 2010, the Pac-12, all of a sudden Apple or somebody changed their mind and dumps enough money, and then Pac-12 actually does survive. So it would be interesting to see. So I'll be watching carefully on the terms of the deal. And also on the grant of rights, if Colorado got any leeway on that. Because, again, I'm certain there's been months and months of heavy negotiation. And we'll see. I'm looking forward to that coming out if this is indeed the case. The second point I want to make is about UConn. As a West Virginia supporter, we have a unique perspective on UConn. Many years ago, around 2010, I dropped my season ticket to West Virginia because I wasn't buying Big East football. Yeah. And among the schools that I thought were really kind of worthless to watch were UConn. UConn was the school that was uninspiring. They're worse than even most of the ACC schools in football. I know they had a half-decent year this year, but in 2020 they abandoned their program. You don't do that if you're serious about football, just abandon your program in a pandemic. And they did. And so I'm hoping it's just a red herring. It's just something that's being used to motivate some other schools to move because they would be a terrible addition to the Big 12 at this point in all sports. And my understanding, Dennis Dodd says it would be all sports.
Yes,
they don't invest in football. They already have a debt. Their stadium is very plain looking. I've been to their stadium. It's nothing to be excited about. Their fans, they have a decent fan following, but they're not passionate about it. It's a very wealthy state, and I'm not saying UConn doesn't add anything, but that to me, I'm of the camp that if it were up to me, because remember in 2021, when the Big 12 added schools, there was no media interest. I mean, the media may have had a say, but there was no media deal up in 2021. They went and added the best schools they could. I would have just added 2, BYU and somebody else, because then we'd have fewer mouths to feed among the group of 5, because you've got to go after Power 5 brands. They're going to have the strongest value. I'm not saying UConn's not possible, but I truly believe if Colorado's first, Arizona should be second, then we will see what happens. But I'm glad this is hopefully coming to an end one way or the other. It's gone on for a very long time, and we will see what happens. And the final thing I'll say is there was some media today that was somewhat negative towards Brett Yormark, saying that he was out doing basketball on his own without the support of the board, and also Barry Trammell's article. Now, that's kind of gotten lost a little bit with his latest news of the new meeting, but that's interesting. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think it's going to get done. The basketball, we have time to build the basketball because we can't spin that out being the Big 12 until 2031 anyway, or until a few years before that. But the Big 12 is positioning itself this way. If there's ever a breakaway, then they are trying to position themselves to be in the mix because there are just too many valuable brands, even if they're basketball. You can't have a basketball tournament without them. And that's what they're trying to position. And you're going to leave out, there might be some remnants of the Pac-12 and remnants of the ACC that are left out. That's what they're trying to do. We'll see if they get there. Have a great evening, Greg. It's a great show as always. And I think the next 3 days are going to happen. But if in the next 3 days UConn's still in the Pac-12, and by golly, Kliavkoff might actually pull that rabbit out of the hat. So we'll see what happens. Thanks.
Great call. Thank you. Man, made a lot of great points. Holy smokes.
Call from
John Mincer.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the name.
John Mincer.
John, go ahead. The floor is yours, sir.
Hey, Greg, just a quick observation. There's a lot of people talking about UConn not being a good fit for the Big 12. Here's my observation. I agree UConn is a G5 school in football. But realistically, they're a P5 school in basketball, both men's and women's. And people are forgetting that Brett Yormark is looking from 40,000 feet, where the rest of us are looking at ground level. He's talking about going international. International is basketball. It's not going to be college football. Now, professional football is fairly popular in some of the international countries, but not like basketball is. So that's why UConn makes perfect sense for the Big 12. that's all I got, and love your show, man.
Thank you. Can you hold on 1 second?
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. I'm sorry. I'm reading something here, and it doesn't. I apologize. It doesn't.
No worries.
I'm sorry. I'm getting a lot of stuff here, and people want me to report something. I'm just not going to go there yet. But what were you saying? I'm sorry. I was caught up into something else here.
Oh, what I was saying is there's a lot of people that
Oh yeah, UConn.
that don't feel like UConn's a good fit.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of smart people going different sides of the coin on the issue of UConn. Again, things are going to have to fall their way if they're going to get an invite for the Big 12. They'd probably come in as a discount. I think the one thing that we all can agree on when it comes to UConn is if there's an opportunity, Brett Yormark's going to go to bat for them. Brett Yormark wants UConn, wants to see if he can build consensus with the Big 12 presidents. So I think that's something we all can agree on, right? We understand where Brett Yormark's from, his love of basketball, what he thinks he can do with basketball, decoupling it from football content in the future. You know, I think we all can agree on that. So it's going to be fascinating. UConn has the Big 12 commissioner in his corner. Can Brett Yormark, G5, they're not going to be part of the pro rata clause in the ESPN. So there's a lot of work that Brett Yormark would have to get done to get UConn into the conference. That's why they're in the 20th row. They're not on the stage with Colorado and Arizona. So
Agreed. And I think we can also agree that the Big 12 realistically is never going to compete against the Big 10 and SEC in football. But so the Big 12 needs to solidify their power structure in basketball to remain at least number one in something.
Yeah. And we know from reports that Brett Yormark was at UConn. So what was it, last week or the week before? So, but thanks for the call. Great call, sir.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it.
Thank you so very much. Great call. Phone lines are open, 763-260-1333. If you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel. It's the only way you get notified of our upcoming live shows and episodes.
Soap.
Ooh, Soap is on the line. The floor is yours, Soap.
Good to talk to you, Greg. This is an exciting time.
Yeah.
Hey, I just to clarify some things that I saw the $19 million you were talking about, and I think it refers to $9 million from ESPN and then $10 million from a streaming company that is yet to be, maybe it's Apple. I'm not quite sure who it would be, but that's where the $19 million comes from. But I think that what's going to happen first, and they've said it before, both Arizona and Colorado have said they're not going to make any decision until they see what the numbers are for the TV deal. So I really, excluding Live Golf and the PGA, I'm going to believe what these people have to say, that they're actually going to be loyal to their word here, that they're actually going to wait. So the first news to come out or leak out would be this $19 million number.
Okay.
And there, common sense says that the Pac-12 is not going to get a grant of rights because Washington and Oregon are going to want to go to the Big Ten. So they're not going to risk that by signing their grant of rights over and then having, whether it's, a year or 2 years or 3 years, have the Big Ten come a calling and they not be able to get onto the grant of rights. So there's not going to be a grant of rights, in my opinion. There will be a big buyout dollar. You know, they'll have to sign some buyout so that the people they sign the contract can be recoup some of the money that they're putting forward, both ESPN and if it's Apple or whoever. But grant of rights, I don't see that happening. And the other problem is that the streaming will be the biggest component of this. And Colorado's already said that Colorado, and I think Arizona State.
Arizona president.
Said that they did not want to be part of a deal that had 50% or more of streaming in it. So my belief here, Greg, is that if the Big 12, and I'm with you, Colorado's already gone. I've been saying that for a while. They're gone. But if they get one school out of the Pac-12, that's almost like a push. If they get two teams from the Pac-12, or I guess then it would be the Pac-8, that would be a win. But if they get three teams, then that's a massive victory. And I believe that Greg or that Yormark is using Connecticut as leverage to get that third team to come to the Big 12 from the Pac-10. That they're saying, look, we've got Connecticut over here that's going to take that fourth spot. So Utah or Arizona State, one of y'all, whoever's going to jump first needs to jump right now, because Connecticut, I really want Connecticut bad. And I think if both of them, both being Utah and Arizona State, were to come, then I think Connecticut would come in as a basketball. And I think I don't think anybody would complain about Connecticut coming in as a basketball only team. Their football team and basketball team are not aligned now.
Yeah,
in the same
they're not. If they come in, they're going to come in as a full member.
Okay.
So that's not part of the equation.
Well, I could see where it makes all the sense in the world for the Big 12 to say that right now. To sit there and say, we're going to admit them as a full member, and whoever the third team is out there, you need to move now. But we'll wait and see. But I do think, Greg, that we're on the precipice here.
I think so.
It happening very quickly.
Yeah. Because
and the first thing that's going to leak out is the TV deal, because I don't believe, or I believe the Colorado and Arizona people saying that they're going to wait till the deal is announced before they make a move.
Okay. Great call.
All right. Hey, great talking to you, my friend.
Thank you.
To the little general.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. Mark, thanks for the super chat. Wasn't there a PAC board media subcommittee yesterday? No leaks. It was today. No leaks. Nada to see there. Colorado meetings equal PAC clock has run out. Well, there was no leaks, and it happened today, but we're telling you.
Call from
Steve.
Steve, can you hold on a moment, sir?
Sure.
Appreciate it. We said earlier in this live show, Mark, that we have it on very good authority. You can take it however you want it. Earlier, we were told from more than one source, let's put it, that the meeting today was about realignment. Now, I know there's no public reports out there from any college football reporter, so take it however you want it. But we believe strongly that's the case. And so there you have it. But thank you so much for your super chat of $5. I appreciate it. Appreciate your generosity so much. Jared Jones, Mr. Buckeye, along with Monovision and the PATC community. Great show as always, Greg. PATC community is incredible. Yes, it is. We have the PATC Theater. We have the PATC Sportsbook. We have the PATC community, and I'm very thankful for it. Thank you for your generosity, Jared Jones, once again, helping us keep the lights on. Thank you so much, Steve. I appreciate your patience. The floor is yours, Mr. Bearcat.
Thanks, Greg. I think this Colorado thing is going to move rather quickly. One reason I think they're going to move quickly is just because they have seen a deal and they're not happy with it. Not that it's a final deal, but it's something that's there. The other thing is I want people to keep in mind is right now the Big 12 has 10 members that can vote. And I know it's just going to be a formality at that part. July 1st, they're going to have 14 members that can vote. So by the time the application gets in, they get Colorado saying, yeah, we want to join. The Big 12 says, yeah. It won't happen until after the official bringing them in won't happen until after July 1st. Agreed?
Yeah.
I mean, that's where I'm getting it,
Yeah.
I don't know if Texas and Oklahoma have the ability to abstain from voting, or whether that affects the vote as far as what kind of majority they need or whatever. But this is going to happen with Colorado, I think, rather quickly, but officially it may take a while. The other thing I wanted to bring up with this UConn talk is I agree yet I disagree with some of the comments. I agree that Yormark wants them. I also agree that he may be using them for leverage.
Mm-hmm. Both can be true. Both can be true.
Yes,
yep.
Right. And I'm not on that. Obviously, being a Cincinnati fan, I'm not on that. Don't bring any more Group of 5 schools in. I'm sorry, but there's been very few schools in the conference of 12 teams. Once Texas and Oklahoma leaves, there's going to be very few teams in that conference that have made the college football playoffs. And guess who's one of them? It's a former G5.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Who did it on a G5? Who did it on a G5 athletic budget?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Who never ever said G5 at that school. Cincinnati never used that term. Okay? They wanted to be the best they could be no matter where they were. So don't give me the San Diego State G5 or the UConn G5 aren't going to be able to do this or do that. I know there'll be an adjustment. I'm not naive enough to believe that.
Yeah.
But let's don't categorize all the G5 schools. Okay? I'm sorry, but Vanderbilt and some other teams, they couldn't win the AAC. They couldn't win the Mountain West. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, could they?
I agree with you. I agree with you.
I mean, they're a P5. They're a P5. So let's quit throwing that P5 and G5
I do think it's fair to bring up G5 when it comes to contracts in regards to the pro rata piece of it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's what the networks have said.
Yeah.
You don't want P5. You've said it repeatedly.
Yeah.
That ESPN wanted Cincinnati.
Yes.
They said
Fox wanted
hey,
UCF. Yep.
That I just get a little bit on edge when I hear that, when I look at how bad some P5 schools are with their history of football. I really, I don't buy into that.
Yeah.
Now, with my rant being out of the way, my old man rant that I get on about every other call.
I'm guilty as well. Yeah.
Is there any? I mean, how fast? And you don't have to answer this if it's putting you on the spot. I understand. If Colorado comes, which looks like they are, if somebody else follows, which very well could happen in the PAC, how fast is the Big Ten going to act?
I don't think it would happen lickety split. I don't think it would. If they're going to act, I think it's going to take a little bit. And maybe that's why they've all left the theater.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, Greg. In your opinion, personal opinion, will it happen what is it possible for it to happen for the 2024 season? That Oregon and Washington are Big Ten members?
Possible. But, there's hurdles left. There are hurdles left. We're not breaking any news tonight. I'm not saying,
No, I'm not asking you that. I'm just asking your opinion.
Yeah, it could happen.
From your experience.
It could happen.
I mean, if Texas and Oklahoma had their way, they'd have been out the day they announced it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they would have been in the SEC the day that they announced they were going there. Obviously, that can't happen.
Yeah.
But I'm with you, and you stole some of my thunder a few calls ago, and I've mentioned this before. I truly believe that every Power 5 school, I don't care who you are, you're trying to set yourself up for where am I going to be at 2026?
Yeah.
Where are they going to, that's what everybody's, I don't know, everybody talks about, the next media deal after 2030 or 2031. No, it's 2026. Let's don't go any further than that.
And you notice we're kind of the only ones who kind of point that out every time,
Yeah.
It's
I don't know. It's going to be fun to see how this all plays out.
Yeah.
From my perspective, I know it's not so much fun if I'm a Washington State or an Oregon State fan, but it's just I just wanted to pick your brain a little bit.
Yeah.
Regarding the Washington Oregon thing, if the dominoes start to fall with Colorado or Arizona State, whoever, I just trying to, in my own mind, justify what a timeline would be for that, So, anyhow, Greg, that's all I got. Again, I've tried to make this point to you before. Quit starting so damn late in the Eastern time zone, will you? Keeping me up.
Sometimes we pop up at any time, so I know, I get it, I understand. Thanks for joining us, Steve. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you. Great call. Thank you, Norm.
Call from
Western Civic.
Western Civic. Can you hold 1 second, sir?
Yes.
Thank you, Norm, for your super chat. If Washington, Oregon, and Petiti have left the theater, why is the van rocking in the parking lot? No comment. Thank you, Norm, for your super chat, for your generosity to the show. Thank you for entering in the PATC community. Thank you so much. Interesting. Now I lost it here. Interesting tweet. Doug Scott, who's been in the PATC community, says Jason Scheer, the timing of Washington State's authorization and the Colorado board meeting are likely a coincidence. But what if it means the PAC has a deal on the table? Jason Scheer answers, this is something I very much considered. So, is it just a coincidence that Washington State has a meeting set up to give the power to be able to approve media rights deals, giving the president the power, and Colorado having the meeting here? Is it similar? I mean, is it a coincidence? Or does the Pac-12 have a media deal? And Washington State, of course, is going to say yes to it. And it looks like Colorado's going to say no to it. Let me know in the comments section. And one more thing, Western Civic, hold on. Lewis, thank you so much for your super chat. June is when Groundhog Day finally ends. Colorado, the Big 12. UConn is the red herring. Great show, PATC community. Thank you, Lewis, for your generosity to the show. Western Civic, the floor is yours.
This is a very interesting situation.
Yes, it is.
Fella doesn't find himself in a situation like this every day.
Yeah.
But anyway, look, I mean, really, this is a really awkward situation for prestigious AAU universities to be in. And big, the Big Ten, come on, man. We're your little brother out here. You're killing us. I mean, we get it. We totally get it. But don't, put us through this. Come get us. You can have us for a song. Let's get it done. You should be taking Colorado, too. But that's what I don't understand, Greg. There's got to be, if Colorado really wants to make this move, and I want to talk about what that would mean, there's got to be something I don't understand, something I don't know. And it's got to be more than ESPN wants Prime, okay? It's got to be more than that. Because not only would this be the first time any school, this is like self-immolation, okay? Never before has a school demoted themselves since Tulane left the SEC. And when Tulane left the SEC, they ostensibly did it for academic reasons. Colorado couldn't make that claim by going to the big Lubbock that only has one AAU school, Kansas. So it would be self-immolation, not only athletically but academically. And so I just don't get it. Not only that, after the record they have in the PAC, they will be a laughingstock west of the Rockies forever if they do this. So I just don't get it. Greg, a question, is there something else that is motivating Colorado that is beyond ESPN wanting Coach Prime? Is there something I'm missing?
Yes, there is something you are missing.
Can you tell me what it is?
It is the dramatic, severe change in college football and college sports landscape. So the old rules, they still are in effect. Wanting to play with your peers, that's what you want to do. Large research universities want to play with large research universities, that's what you want to do. However, we are in the business now of NIL. Student athletes are going to become professional. Schools and conferences in both are going to be directly compensating the student athletes at a higher level. These schools need their front porch of the universities to be self-efficient. They need to grow their revenue. And I don't think the networks are really interested anymore in supporting, in investing, and in paying for, distributing the content of a one-region Pacific Coast Athletic Conference at the highest level. I think those days are over. I think that's what a lot of people have been missing since day one of this story. It's not...
Okay, Greg. Okay,
go ahead.
Great. Thank you, Greg. But that's not... I'm not missing that. It makes a lot of sense, the East to West Conference. That makes sense. That's why the Big needs to step up and save us from this disaster that's about to... Look, I got to tell you, as a Utah fan, I do not want to go to Texas for football games, ever. I mean, it's just not, I mean, really. I probably won't if it were to happen. I mean, it's like, it would be if Utah got sucked into this, it would be a major blow to the program. And I can't understand how Colorado, because we know everything you just said, Greg, about NIL and where we're going, and where you need to be in 26, right?
Yes, sir.
So why would you take yourself out? Everybody knows the Big 12 is the third conference. So why would you take yourself out? Even if the media deal is $15 million less, I wouldn't do it. Even if it was $20 million less, I wouldn't do it because expansion is coming. So if you're taking yourself out and putting yourself in the third conference right now, and then expecting someone else to come, after all the competition for a slot, they're going to come to you and say, oh, yeah, this guy who took themselves out, they're the ones we want to pull. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me at all, even with what you just told me, Greg, and that isn't what I'm looking for, because I understand that.
Got it. Yes,
we need East to West conferences. That can be done, and that's really on the Big Ten to handle that, to come save your founding partners with the Rose Bowl and get it done. But anyway, thanks for the show, Greg. We'll see you on Friday, but it just doesn't make any sense. And I got to tell you, it's shit with Coach Prime. You want to send yourself to the third conference. Whatever. No war. No war, my friend.
No war. Thank you for the call. Appreciate it. Brian Etheridge, need to fly Greg and Jason to Dallas. We podcasted with Sam over some beers. Bradshaw, Shear, and Pflugar together in a room at one time. The world would implode or explode, whatever. Thank you for all coming in. We're going to shut down this live show. We've been on for over 2 hours on a late night here in Minnesota. That fat guy from Minnesota behind the mic, as we are still tracking this story. June 9th, a meeting that is scheduled. It's a public meeting remotely. It only is lasting for 30 minutes. A 30-minute meeting, just like what happened on June 11th, 2010. 3 days after a June 8th meeting that seemed to spur the University of Colorado with inside the Board of Regents for Colorado to leave the Big 12 to the Pac 12. Is history repeating itself? Only this time, Colorado going to the Pac 12 to the Big 12. We think so here at Peek Around the Corner. We want to thank you all for joining us. Epic night. More nights are going to follow just like this. Make sure before you leave the chat, if you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel. That's the only way you can get notified, because we could pop up at any time. We could pop up early tomorrow morning, during the afternoon, or during the evening time. So make sure you subscribe, smash that like button. It helps us with YouTube. We want to thank you, the PATC community, for being with us in this saga. Wow, what a story. What a story. And you guys and gals of the PATC community, you are the ones that make this show so very special. You guys and the moderator, the little general, Mireya Hernandez Garcia Pflugar, who gave us the opportunity to get this live show done tonight. So, from all of us at PATC, to all of you, please, until next time, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very